movie nerds, and welcome to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. I am all caught up on the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things, so this episode is going to be a review of that, or at least my thoughts on that. There will probably be a lot of spoilers, so warning, if you haven't watched the last 2 episodes yet, stop right now, go watch them, come back. So I had mentioned in my first review of the Stranger Things episodes 1 through 7 that I knew I was going to struggle bus the last 2 episodes, and I was not wrong. The last episode was 2.5 hours, and I stand very firmly in the belief that there is absolutely no reason to make a television episode the length of a movie. There is no reason to do that. There were so many parts of that episode where they could have split it apart and made it an hour-long episode each, or 45 minutes. However they needed to do it, it could have been done. Watching the entire 2.5 hours all in one go after trying to watch episode 8, which was an hour and a half, it's a lot. It's too much for TV. And I'm not sure that most of it was worth it. I don't know. I really loved Stranger Things seasons 1, 2, and 3. I was there. I was so there for it. I absolutely loved the story. I thought it was really great. Season 4 wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. It wasn't. I feel like it wasn't on the same level as the first 3 seasons, which is understandable. It is hard to maintain that kind of a show. You know, I'm just thinking of something like The Walking Dead, where at a certain point they zigged instead of zagged, and I kind of lost interest because it stopped being entertaining and it started it detoured from the original storyline. And really, at the end of the day, I don't know what the Duffer Brothers have planned for Stranger Things. I don't know if they planned to go this many seasons, if they had the content for it. I think, what can I compare Stranger Things to? I was having a discussion with a friend the other day, kind of talking through episodes 1 through 7, and one of my biggest gripes, and I got into this in my first review of season 4 of Stranger Things as well, that I was like, there isn't a lot of character development or character growth. It sort of seems like they go through these horrible experiences and then they come out the other side relatively unscathed. And in this season, that didn't change. There wasn't the growth there that I feel like would actually happen, or the change in a person that would actually happen after experiencing a war, which is basically what's happening here, right? They're going up against this evil villain that literally causes physical destruction in our world. And 2 days after this giant battle with Vecna, their concerns are whether or not the girl that they have a crush on likes them back, or, Eddie, spoilers, I warned, but here we go. Eddie dies in season 4 and no one cares. 0 people care. Dustin and Eddie's uncle cares, but the rest of the crew doesn't mention it. They don't talk about it. There is no discussion about it. There is no funeral. It was just Eddie died, Eddie's dead. It's like he was erased in the storyline. I'm furious at the Duffer Brothers for this, by the way. There are so many characters that I feel like, Jonathan being one of them, I pointed it out. In my opinion, Jonathan is useless. He's useless as a character. He did absolutely nothing through this entire season other than just drive the car or be high. He didn't contribute. There was nothing that he did really in the same manner that the rest of the characters did, like Steve and everyone going into the Upside Down, fighting off Vecna, Eddie literally giving his life to fight off Vecna. And I'm frustrated by this. I'm frustrated with this storytelling. I am super duper frustrated with the fact that Vecna monologued like a villain in an Austin Powers film to tell you what his motivations were. There are I struggle with this because I'm like, listen, there are better ways to tell a story than to have the villain monologue. Show me, don't tell me. That is the first rule of storytelling. I'm fresh. I know season 5 is going to be the last season, and I'm struggling to be sad about that. I'm ready for Stranger Things to be over, and that makes me very sad. The two characters in my last episode that I was like, if something happens to Max or something happens to Eddie, and what happened? It's like I jinxed myself. Max now is, I don't even know what's going to happen to her. I'm assuming that she will pull through. I am assuming that they know that people don't want to lose Max, but I'm very frustrated that of all the characters they could have killed off, they chose Eddie. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Yeah, I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this season, like what they were thinking with this season. 100% the Russian storyline didn't really have much of a tie-in. It had a very tiny little baby tie-in for how the two were connected. And I really just think that like they kind of wanted to bring Hopper back, so they needed a storyline or an excuse to bring Hopper back, or like how to explain where Hopper has been this whole time without anybody, like any of the rest of the characters knowing where he was. And so he's in Russia in prison. But there wasn't really that much of a connection. Like that whole bit of the story, I feel like could have been cut out. I don't know. I think that there could have been another way to bring Hopper back or explain where Hopper has been, and that didn't completely separate Joyce from her children. And, with all of this crazy stuff going on, I don't know. I guess I was really confused with Joyce's decision making, for one. Like, I get that she cares a lot about Hopper, but who just packs up their bags and flies to Russia and leaves their 2 children behind without thinking, that's what is she thinking is going to happen to them this entire time? And like when she gets to Russia and she realizes that Russia's been doing these experiments on basically the upside down creatures. She didn't stop for a second to think like, oh dear God, my children, I need to get back there. Like I don't know that there was really that moment that happened. Maybe it did, and I just lost it in the 2.5 hours worth of an episode. But I very much enjoyed the little nod to, I don't know if it was meant to just be a nod to aliens or specifically alien resurrection, but with the Demogorgons in like the little glass containers full of what I'm assuming is some kind of, I don't know, alcohol or formaldehyde, I don't know. And then how they came back to life, I don't understand either, but whatever. And then like I am that type of person that my brain thinks of things in television or movies that I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like Vecna's whole plan kind of actually comes to fruition, and there are these giant, what they call it, as an earthquake, a giant earthquake, but it's like the ground just opens up and it's like steaming hot lava. There's something is happening. But there's still power. Like the whole town still has power. They still have running water. They still have, when the ground has literally opened up in an X format, like a giant X across this town, and yet everyone still has TV, and they're, I'm just very confused by many of the choices in this season, and I didn't enjoy it as much as the previous seasons. It worries me for what's going to happen in season 5. If we lose Max, the fact that we lost Eddie, I'm very angry about Eddie. I'm very angry. I'm holding a grudge. I'm angry about Eddie. So did you guys watch the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things? I don't know why I call them episodes. Did you guys watch the last 2 movies of Stranger Things? Let me know what you thought in the comments. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you back for the next episode. Thank you.